This woman's face suddenly turned pale. She burned her life and arranged an invisible defense around the house to help the daughter of the witch family easily give birth to the child that girl was above. The bed was very miserable. It seemed like she was about to not be able to hold on anymore. She screamed loudly and the sound traveled far away. At this time, in the opposite forest, there was a man who was extremely worried. His eyes emitted a red light that made the whole sky was dyed a dark red color. The girl used all her remembering strength to scream loudly into the sky. Then everything fell into silence. The man stopped. He knew what had happened, so he couldn't hold back his tears. Fell down. That was the person he loved the most, a girl of the witch clan. The girl with dull eyes left this world as if under her effort the child was born. The cry of the traditional child came to move the witch leader. The man Anders exploded. He had lost the person he loved the most and could lose his child because he was the Lord of Darkness, and the girl is with. The love between the two of them cannot be fulfilled. The dark red smoke rises into the sky. After seeing the witch leader, he know that Rakan is coming. Now he cannot let him have this child, because this child belonged to the witch clan. Looking at the power of darkness rushing towards the three witches raised their hand to release the defensive magic to block the power of darkness. Rakan told of them to hand over the child or else they would let him go, for humanity to bear its wrath. But the witch told him this child life is the hope of the witch race, not to allow this child to become a member of darkness and fall into darkness. Immediately arranged a barrier to cover the entire house. Rakan angrily raised his hand towards them. The red light once again condensed to confront the green light. From now on, Rakan was still waiting for the opportunity, meeting to begin revenge several hundred years. Later, the defense created by the witch had disappeared. A man discovered a girl in the warehouse. The girl looked very scared. Then she hugged the man. The girl opened her mouth to bite the man's neck, but suddenly she felt that there was something strange about this man and immediately pushed the man away. The girl had a suspicious look on her face. Why is it a shadow family? Who are you? Joe was lying on the ground, even more confused. He just the night watchman in this small town. Why did he become a member of the dark society? Turned around and ran out, but suddenly outside, three silhouettes appeared. Three people made scary faces, and they were the minions of darkness. At night, it was their world. The people in this small town become their prey. Mr. quickly pulled out a gun and shot a few times at the three of them, but it didn't cause any damage to them, which made the three of them even angrier. There was a person who came to make Zon's blood bleed. Zon was lying on the ground in pain. But the monster that attacked him, after Zon's hands were covered in blood, suddenly kept burning, and gradually his entire arm was corroded. The short-haired girl also rushed over. Seeing this scene made her extremely surprised. Another person in there saw his accomplice injured and rushed directly to him. He was strangled and couldn't breathe. His hand directly squeezed his neck. The man suddenly felt a pain. He was pinned on the ground. Zon's hands were like a pair hot iron pincers. Iza on this side saw everyone. He was so scared that he didn't dare to move. They were all hunters. Nothing like this had ever happened before, but I witnessed it. They were all seen by a mysterious man. He was Dan, the Lord of Darkness. He decided to intending to go meet that man himself. The man was the Lord of Darkness. He stepped on the dark red smoke in the forest and went out. He raised his hand, causing 4 soldiers to fly into the sky, and the others turned and ran. Behind them, the fog formed a terrifying human head, rushing towards them. They all began to run away, then kept shooting in that direction as if they were shooting into the air without a trace. Had no effect on Dan. After dealing with the crowd, a soldier was captured. He was locked in a fortress and locked in chains. Everywhere was darkness, making him unable to distinguish direction. A servant suddenly appeared and hugged him. At this time, the front of the hall was lit up, and there, behind them, the fog formed a terrifying human head, rushing towards them. They all began to run away, then kept shooting in that direction as if they were shooting into the air without a trace. Had no effect on Dan. After dealing with the crowd, a soldier was captured. He was locked in a fortress and locked in chains. Everywhere was darkness, making him unable to distinguish direction. A servant suddenly appeared and hugged him. At this time, the front of the hall was lit up, and there, the Shadow Clan was completely insignificant. Suddenly, the Shadow slaves seemed to feel something, so they quickly left. In the morning, the people who were destroyed by Zon gradually burned up, so looking at the pile of rubble on the ground, the town guards locked Zon up, suspecting that he had attracted the dark slaves here. There was no other way but to escape the town. On the way to meet him, Uncle Ivan was just when the two of them were thinking about where to go when a short-haired girl came to find them. She told Zon that she felt like his body was bleeding like her body, a kind of intimate feeling. It made her want to get close to Joe Liza and tell him that she was so fed up with the life of being a slave to the darkness. But the Lord of Darkness still continued to turn people into slaves and madly wanted to destroy them, the entire human race. Perhaps the blood on Joe's body could be enough to force the Dark Lord. After speaking, the two of them also agreed to Go to the dark fortress. Seeing the whole city in sight, Liza wanted to end it all, but suddenly she saw a girl who seemed to have lost her way. The darkness slave began to appear continuously in her direction. The girl turned around to run away, but behind her was another monster. The man had long claws on his mouth, and the girl was scared, her legs trembling, lying directly on the slave's land in the darkness. She looked like a sheep about to be eaten, but at this moment she turned away. Jumping down from high above and rushing towards a shadow slave, the girl seemed to find hope that the knife in her hand was stained with Zon blood. This made the man opposite him extremely surprised. He asked, "If I do this, in betraying my master, Raris will definitely not let me go. She is determined to end everything that is in her hands. When the man falls, the Dark Clan will open up. A new chapter, the unwilling slave of darkness will turn into dust." At this moment a Uy sound rang out. Rakan stood to the side. He told Liza what she did was a betrayal to her. She believed that she will be punished in the future. After speaking, she walks towards Liza, looking at the pressure coming from the Dark Lord. Liza finally grasped the knife in her hand and unleashes all the power of her darkness. He mustered all his courage and rushed towards Draken, wanting to use the blade to kill him, but a dark red aura appeared on Draken's body, gently avoiding Liza's attack. All he had to do was to send her back to heaven. After that, he waved his hand, causing Liza to fly more than 100 meters away. He persistently stood up and taunted Draken that he would escape from him. A dark red figure came and grabbed Liza's neck. Her words made Rankam interested. He took Liza back to his castle and punished her for not returning in the evening. Zon and Ivan started following the plan. They arrived outside the castle. There was no one there. What life did they go inside? But on the second floor Ivan accidentally stepped into the illusion. He was captured and with Liza hanging on the main pillar. At this time the transformed soldier entered him, coming to Liza's side. He took out a flamethrower and started using it on Lia's body, causing Liza to scream in pain. Ivan wanted to help but he was chained. The man came to Ivan's side, pointed his claws and hit him directly. Yen was lifted up and this side was gradually lowered. At this time, the two thought of a major solution at the moment. The man was about to deal with Ivan. Liza jumping up, making the man cut. The hanging chain broke. After being unchained, they immediately used a goat chain to wrap it around the man's neck. She used all her strength to pull the man up. Ivan picked it up and spit fire up. The guy was hanging in the air. The man slowly didn't see any moment, but by this time Liza was tired and lying on the Dark Clan land, very afraid of fire. She was seriously injured and couldn't move. Yen saw that and immediately strength out his arm. Liza no refused. She opened her mouth to drink his blood. Only fresh blood would help her recover. Went to a secret tunnel, went to a hall. On a chair above the hall saw Dan already sitting there waiting. He told Zon that he had been waiting for him for a long time. The man turned into a red smoke, avoiding all gun attacks. He waved a gun in his hand. Zon immediately flew away. Then I waved my hand again, causing Zon to fall to the ground. He looked like he was joking. Zon was like that. Zon was like an object being punished by Dran, continuously rubbing on the ground and then blowing red smoke around Zon's neck, like a hand slowly lifting Zon up high. No matter how hard Zon tried, the red smoke of darkness was like a strong pair of pliers that locked him tightly again, causing Zon to fall. Zon knew himself. I was like a toy. He kept trying to rush towards Draka, but before he could get close, he was pushed away by the force of the two of them. The force of the two people was so great that Zon lost his confidence and then lay on the ground without any resistance. Dran used to stepping closer to Zon. It was at this moment that Ivan and Liza chased after. Dan discovered them with both hands raised. Two puffs of smoke turned into ropes, fixing the two of them to Tundu, who was unconscious on the ground. He entered another space when he stood up and discovered in the distance that there were three women looking at him. The woman told Zon that witch blood was flowing in Zon's body and was a descendant of the witch, but when Zon turned around, he discovered that on both sides of the road there were wooden stakes lined up to welcome him. There were many people hanging on them, and there was a familiar figure standing in front of them. It was a sign that tricked the man into turning his head. It was Dran. He revealed a welcoming smile. Zon came to him. My place contained the power of darkness, and his body was also flowing with the blood of darkness. Zon suddenly realized that in his body there was half witch power and half dark power. He was the one in the storm. He was the child born by the witch. Zon's heart began to beat again, and there was a wave of power filled himself. Zon once again stood up. The witch power in his body appeared out of nowhere. Zon made a choice. He will protect humanity. Rakam, seeing that, again used the red aura. This time it didn't work from him. Rakan felt that something was wrong. The witch power was his enemy. Rakan immediately used all his strength to deal with him. He was possessed by the power of darkness. The corrupted power was increased. Both sides immediately started fighting. Zon's hand was filled with blood and attacked Dan's body, directly corroding a hole. Both sides continued to fight. At this moment, Dan thought about it for a long time and still didn't understand. Who is he? Why does he have the power of a witch in his body? Time to strangle him. His blood quickly corrodes Dragan. Gradually, Dragan no longer moves. His body gradually turns into a demon. Liza and Ivan were freed at that moment. The door in front of them was opened. A bright light emitted from the inside. 3 people walked in. In the middle of the room, there was a look at it. Seeing Dragan young form as days later he was haunted by a method of creating dark slaves. The power of darkness gradually corroded Dran's inner self, turning him into a monster. See content inside. The 3 people revealed a determined look in their eyes. They will definitely eliminate all the dark monster. This is the end of the movie. Everyone, remember to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new movie. Bye bye.